Hey, this is Miss Brown. Patterns with Kathy.
That's Mrs. Brown.
Mrs. Brown. Fine.
Okay, I want to start off talking about fabric for a minute because a lot of the pattern instructions have to do with the fabric. So this is a piece of broadcloth, and I want to talk about the selvage. The selvage is the woven edge of the broadcloth or any other fabric. And you can tell that it's not going to fray or anything because it's woven together. That's the straight of the fabric. The width of the fabric is the part that you cut crosswise. You can tell, if you can't see the selvage, you can tell which is which because the width of the fabric tends to give and you get a little stretch going around you. The straight of the fabric does not, which means you can have things hang and stay level instead of parts hanging here and there. So when you get to the pattern piece, you're going to see a line, generally with an arrowhead at either end. And this line goes on the straight of the fabric, up and down on the fabric, the length of the fabric. So that's something you want to know. Now, I've taken some instructions out of different brands of patterns. This is McCall's, and it shows you pretty much the same thing. Placed on a fold, the straight grain line, different symbols for notches and dots and what have you, and all. This is a Butterick, and it gives you instructions on up here on the different types of stitches and finishes, and instructions for the pattern. Like the right side of the pattern, when it's shown, is shaded. The wrong side of the pattern is white. This is the inner lining, the lining, and the underlining, which are different pieces that go into the fabric and the garment. Another thing the pattern instructions have, and this one is not showing it, is first of all a picture of the different things that are in the pattern, and then a diagram of all the pieces of the pattern, and they're all numbered, and a description of what they are. Then this is simplicity. They have the same instructions: the fold line, the straight grain, the notches, the dots. This is a cutting line. This double line is a lengthening, shortening line.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, people are different sizes. And this one doesn't have one. But that's it. Although it doesn't say. But a lot of things, instead of just shortening the bottom, you might have a difference in the length of your body. So you might have a shortening line right here, and there would be two lines, and in order to shorten it, you would fold it up to make it the length that you need, and to make it longer, you would cut on that, put a piece underneath it, and spread it to make it longer, and then tape it together. This particular pattern is a pants pattern, which I happen to like because it's all one piece. Because I have two sizes. I have the small, medium ones and the large, extra large ones. This is the extra large. You can see where the two sizes would be cut. This is the large and this is the extra large. So you would cut it out according to the person that you're making the garment for. But this pants pattern is very easy. It's a Simplicity 8913. It's a Scottish pattern. And I like it because we have a lot of different sized guys that need pants in this outfit. And it works out quite well. Now you see along the sides little notches. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those little notches correspond to the notches on the other side. So when you put the pants together, you line up those notches, and you can mark them. You can either cut them out and make a diamond out of it, or you can just snip it right there. And you'll have a little snip line to match up.
So those ones are just for making it so you can tell that you've put them together correctly.
Yes. Now you notice on this one, on the front, there's 2 notches on the crotch seam. On the back, there are 3. So you don't want to sew 2 pieces together and have one be the front and one the back. Generally on sleeves, there are notches on the sleeve and notches on the armhole. And the general rule is there's 1 notch in the front and 2 notches in the back, so that you don't get your sleeves on the wrong sides and have them look really odd. Not too good. So this one doesn't have a fold line, but it's one of my favorite patterns because it fits just about everybody. Generally when I buy a pattern with this crowd making garb and what have you, I get a smaller size and a bigger size of the pattern. And generally the bigger sizes go up to about 22 or 24. The smaller ones are, I think we have a dad. Yes, we do. Now there are different kinds of seams, and some patterns specify a certain seam. Most of them say use a 5/8 inch seam. And they have layout designs of how to lay the fabric out on, or the pattern out on the fabric, because they tell you on the back of the package you get this many yards for this item. So then they show you how to lay it out on that many yards. If you're a little bigger, sometimes you need a little more fabric. So I always allow a little bit. Hi, sweetie. And so most of the patterns here are cut with 5/8 inch seam, even though it's not marked on there. This is not a seam line, that's a size line. The old patterns, they used to have a 5/8 inch seam line marked in a dotted line, but they don't anymore.
So you'd have to add that on to the cloth, or
it's already in there. They just aren't showing it.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes, if you're a little bit bigger than the pattern, you have to add a little more to the sides and the width of the sleeves and what have you to go around you if you're a little bigger. Any questions? No? Okay. Rose, no questions?
I'm trying to think of any. So when you're putting the pattern on the cloth, like you said, you can pull it to tell which is the width and which is the length?
Yes, in case your selvages are cut off.
Oh, because the selvage is only on one side?
The selvage is on both edges.
Okay.
But if you're cutting something in the middle where the edges have already been cut off and you want to know which way is the straight grade, you pull it sideways, you can see how it's stretching.
Okay, so it's not just that there's like a dip, but it actually will stretch.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Pulling it on the straight grain, it doesn't stretch.
Okay.
This can be an advantage if you're trying to line something like a bodice that you don't want to stretch. If you cut it the other direction, then it won't. If you cut it cross grain, it's going to stretch on you. And especially if you get warm and all, it's going to help to stretch. Linen especially will do that.
Okay.
So I've done a bunch of kirtles that are fitted, and you don't want them to stretch out because then everything starts falling. And so those I actually lined with muslin that was cut on a straight grain crosswise. So the linen was going to stretch, but the muslin wasn't going to let it.
Okay.
Okay? That makes sense?
Anyone else have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. It does show on the patterns. Sometimes you have to flip a pattern piece over in order to lay it out, and the ones that are gray are the ones that are flipped over, so the print is down.
Okay.
This one is with the print up. These are both with the print up, but one of the sleeves, because sleeves are different. Now this is showing it hanging out over the fold of the fabric. So what they want you to do is to cut out all this stuff and then open that fabric out and cut the sleeves and the facings.
What does the star mean?
Well, let's see.
Special instructions.
Cutting layouts. It says, cut out all pieces except pieces that extend beyond folded fabric, then open out fabric and cut in positions as shown.
Okay.
Okay?
So does it really just mean special instructions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the special instructions are in the instructions at the top of the pattern.
And how about this thing here? What's happening with that?
Those are tailor tacks. Those, they're saying, take a loop of thread through the fabric once you've cut it where the dart marks are. Usually darts will be marked with several dots. And you fold them in between and match up the dots. And then they're saying take several loops of thread through, and then when you pull it apart, you snip it and you've got little tufts of thread there where the dots are.
Okay, so you know that that's where the spot on the fabric was marked.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I generally just push a pin through the dots and match them up, and push another pin through from the other side, so that when I open it out, there's a pin at each of the dots, and then I match them up and stitch along the pins, or you can mark it with chalk.
Okay.
Chalk is a good thing to mark with because it washes out. Don't be doing it with pencil or ballpoint pens or felt pens or anything like that. Mark it with something that will come out, and chalk is very good for that.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
With the chalk remark there, is it best that it's white?
Usually,
they sell
it's
a few different types
cheaper.
of chalk.
Okay.
It's cheaper. You can buy a box of Crayola chalk for not very much.
They also have special fabric chalk pens that
Okay.
they have at the
Yeah, actually, they have
Store.
a mechanical pencil type chalk pencil.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
They're really cool for embroidery.
That one has both white and blue lead or chalk.
Oh, it comes in all kinds of colors.
Different colors? Okay.
Yeah, I just chose blue because I liked blue.
Okay, because that way, you can see it on darker fabrics. You can see the different color. Or, like, if you have white, white chalk's not going to work very well, so you use the blue chalk on that one, or whatever color.
Right. I also have some pencils that I have used. I've used them on backpacks when I make them because they get covered up, but they're kind of waxy, and so I hate to use them on a fabric that
You actually care about?
that's going to need to get washed and that it might sort of spread into the rest of the fabric.
Avoid on fancy garb. Okay.
Right. I've just found chalk to be the best.
Chalk is best.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to know?
Not that I know. So,
Okay.
Are there
Glass over?
patterns? Are there patterns for, like, say if you want to make it decorative, as in adding jewelry or whatnot to it?
There are some.
You mean like patterns to specifically put jewelry on something or beads?
Yeah.
There are some. Well, like my French hood.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That actually has jewels on it. I've seen other blogs talking about the French hoods, and actually the Tudor Tailor book talks about putting billements on your French hood, which is strings of beads.
Oh, Lord, there's a word for those?
Yes, they're called billements.
Well, I think what you're talking about is more like bead embroidery.
Bead and or if I've seen a person actually have like little reflective mirrors on his, like little spots
Sequins.
here and there.
Oh, yes.
Sequins, okay.
Sequins.
No, they aren't
Sequins.
actually mirrors.
They're actually mirrors. Why
Yeah.
would you wear
Yes,
so
a
many
lot of-
mirrors on you?
Jocelyn used to have that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mexican clothing has a lot of mirrors in the embroidery.
And because it
Mexico
reflects
thing.
the sun. Why wouldn't you want mirrors?
Because, well, okay, maybe they're from Pakistan. I don't know.
Blind
But
eye
I've
enemy.
seen them.
But they do patterns for that?
I don't know. I suppose somebody must have one.
I know that my bead embroidery book has stuff like that.
Okay.
But,
It's a pretty good bet. If there's something, somebody will make a pattern for it.
yeah.
Because they'll say, oh, this is cool. I should show other people how to do it. And there's a lot of blogging nowadays of how people have made things.
So you mentioned darts.
Darts.
How are the darts shown on the pattern?
Okay. I grab one that has darts.
Jocelyn, do a little dance in the middle of class.
Yeah.
Yes.
One more
Actually,
time.
this pattern I'm a little upset with.
Oh? Why?
Well, what does that look like to you?
It is displeased.
It looks Asian.
Yes.
Almost
with
like
with
a...
an opening in the front. A typical Asian slanted opening in the front.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
No?
It's just a piece of trim sewn on there.
Oh,
Cheating.
Looking at the instructions, and it's got a zipper down the back.
Cheating.
careful, the wrong people could be watching this.
That's true.
You're the wrong person.
Now, this one, obviously, I haven't opened yet. One of these pieces has got to be a front or a back.
Why not both?
So much pattern.
Yes.
There's so little time on earth to
Okay,
do them.
this is... No, that's the back of the slip. That's not what I want. This pattern has a slip and an overdress and pants.
Having criminal character in sunflower, so there's a reason to work the character out creation.
Okay, this is the front.
Okay.
And you can see where they're showing that you should put the trim on to make it look like it opens. This is a dart, and it's shown on the various sizes in this pattern. This pattern has several different sizes, 3 it looks like. And so I would mark the front and the 2 in the middle and 2 at the end. And generally they have 3 sets of dots that you can line up, either with pens or trace it with a chalk. Good morning, Chief. Good evening, Jerry.
This is pattern reading with Kathy.
So, when you sew it, you would take that dart and line up the dots. And if it's easier for you to keep a straight line when you're sewing, just go ahead and mark that line with the chalk. And generally, you start sewing, so it would actually get this way. You would start sewing at the edge and sew in towards the point. Because it's really hard to start sewing at the point and get it even.
It's a good point.
It is a good point.
It is a good wisdom.
It is a good wisdom.
So that one has the darts in the front. The back piece has darts going down the back. And those you do need.
You do need to find the pattern.
You can see them really close on the back picture. Can you focus?
Trying to. Let's see. Sometimes if I get the words, it focuses better. Move your phone for a minute. It's trying to focus on your finger.
Sorry.
There we go. Yeah, that works.
You see the 2 lines down the back? There's a zipper down the middle, and there's 2 lines on either side. Those are darts.
Okay.
And you would do the same. Remember how we did with Jossie's dress? You would match up all the dots. That one you're going to have to start at a point and work down to the other point. Unless you do it from the middle and then turn around and do it back the other way, which is
silly.
Yes. You just need to be careful and mark a line on there and follow the line.
Okay.
Okay? Anything else?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, say goodbye to the audience.
Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us, and have fun sewing.
Everybody wave. Wave. Yeah.